Welcome to the family with
Mike Gelfand.
Tevin Pittman.
And Andy Brant Bernard.
Hey, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. What's happening?
Everything's happening.
It is Mike, and I want you to know something that I'm going along with every mayor of every town in America, that I'm pro-Hamas and anti-Gelfand. What do you think?
Well, the anti-Gelfand thing I've been experiencing most of my life.
Almost
So
sure.
it doesn't bother me, but the other thing.
Mike, I just want to get this out of the way so we can go and have a good time. But what in the hell is wrong with these mayors in America today?
I guess they feel like they're catering to their base. That's what's wrong with politics in general. Nobody really wants to do what they think is right anymore.
No, true. That's a very good point. But I just couldn't. But the mayor of Chicago came out as pro-Hamas today. You think he's ever met anybody from the Hamas tribe?
No, it's probably highly unlikely.
Highly unlikely. Think he's ever met a Jew in Chicago?
A few.
A few. How do we get there? Look, I got to be honest with you. I don't know anything about Hamas. I know a lot of Jews. My opinion is, I suppose, I'm not anti-Hamas. I'm just pro-Jew. Does that work?
Yeah, I think it's basically a lot of shameful behavior from both sides.
Yeah, I think that's true.
It's basically kind of like a universal genocide.
That's a good way to put it.
So it is hard to really be fully in favor of anything.
But we can actually drag Tevin into this argument.
Yeah.
Because I've noticed a lot of Americans, when they say they're pro-Hamas, they're only pro the dark-skinned Hamas. And too many Jews are white, so they don't want to support them. Is that part of it?
Yeah, well, the whole thing is bizarre because Chicago, their city council voted for a ceasefire over in Israel. And I don't think
good.
I don't think the Chicago city council vote gets forwarded over to Hamas. And they're like, oh yeah, now we gotta stop what we're doing.
Chicago said so.
It's like, what are you guys even doing? Worry about your own city before you vote on if they should.
It's all performative.
Right.
And Chicago is not your ordinary it's not the way big cities are ordinarily thought of, because
right.
It's just a bunch of cities.
You know what? I do agree with that. You're absolutely right, because there would be, one thing I love about Chicago, it's out on the south end of town. There's a street, and as it runs through the neighborhoods, the name of the street changes.
Yeah, it starts out, of course, with Malcolm X Boulevard.
Malcolm X Boulevard then turns into Pope Pius the 12th Boulevard.
Yes. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
It's an incredibly diverse city.
I love Chicago. I used to. I heard it's just horrible downtown now.
Well, it's not as bad as really the worst cities. Not even close. But
good.
But it's a matter of what zip code you're in.
Mm-hmm. But that whole area I was talking about, I love going down in that area because literally you go block by block. The street changes its name. You meet different kinds of people. It's quite the experience, actually.
Yeah, and I think that really, of all the wards in Chicago, I think that there's probably only like 15% where it's just totally rigged.
No, I understand. Do you know what the Jewish population of Chicago is? Do you have any idea?
I'm not sure, but it's probably in Chicago itself. It's probably up to 4%, 5%.
I would think so.
Not a huge number.
And what is the Hamas population of Chicago?
Well, it's diminishing, so I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, so is it zero?
Probably not.
I don't really understand why this mayor of Chicago, took a position on this at all. I'd like to see all people live in peace. Wouldn't that be nice?
Well, yeah, and I like to see all people. Look, with both of these sides, okay, you made your point, right?
Right. No, that's a good way to put it, Mike.
So maybe it's time to stop, for example, decapitating children.
That would be nice. I would like it if little children could keep their heads. That would be great. Is it the whole world? What happened to the whole world? Why do we all hate each other so much now? Because honest to God, it's not just Democrats and Republicans anymore. It's the Democrats and Republicans against one another on every topic.
Well,
They can't get along on anything anymore.
Well, and that's because, it's identity politics. We used to, not that long ago, most of us, I think, looked at candidates and we didn't write, oh, no, Democrat, no, Republican, no.
Yeah,
But
right.
nobody cares about issues anymore.
No. No, I think that's true. Did you use that? Did you hear the comparison I used? Why I might be the most giving person and accepting person on earth?
Well, I've always said that, but
Well,
no.
there's no question about it. But I used you as one of my models,
Mhm.
and this is true, I believe. And tell me if you don't think this is true. You're probably one of the most far left people I've ever met. Wouldn't you agree?
Well, I don't come close to being one of the most far left people I've ever met.
Well, no, I suppose not. But you're pretty
Well,
out there.
we talked briefly about this last week. I'm your basic New Deal Democrat. That's the coalition that formed during the Great Depression, and I still believe in all those things. So I'm just where, basically, I'm where liberals have always been, because it does come down, for us old timers, it comes down to the basics. Voters today, most of them don't see it this way anymore. But the way I see it is, I think this was the original dispute between the two parties, going into the 40s anyways. I believe that, considering all the poverty we have, considering the horribly biased distribution of money, I think that government can and has to be a source of good for a lot of people. Well, but a lot of people, a lot of Republicans, no, it's laissez-faire, and let the free market decide. So that was always the chasm, and it just kind of got infected from there. But that's what I am. I'm just your basic New Deal Democrat.
But you are
That's the
pretty
most
far
basic
left.
Democrat there is.
But I
Well,
will tell you
but I
this.
voted Republicans, for some Republicans, right up until, I guess, probably the 70s.
Yeah, well, there you go. But I used you as an example because I love you. I've told you many times before. I don't just like you, I love you. You're one of my best friends.
Right.
On the other side, I like Mike Lindell. I like Mike Lindell a lot. He's
Mhm.
way far right. How
Yeah.
is that possible, Mike, that I can like somebody far left and far right, but nobody else in the world can seem to figure that out?
Well, I think in that case, you're looking at people as people,
Yeah, that's exactly right.
but that's not the way it's done anymore.
Why not, Mike? It should be. Let's look at each individual. Like, I like most black people. I don't like Tevin. I mean, it's just the way it is. Although his name is AJ right now, he's got the AJ logo up there.
You know what? You can mislabel, but you can't hide.
You can't. You can mislabel. But see, I just wish that people would understand that I am pretty much. I've been a Democrat. I've been a Republican. I'm kind of pretty much a centrist now. I love some pretty extreme lefties, some pretty extreme righties. As long as they don't get too nuts and start, harming people over this, which I suppose being part of some of these things does harm people. But
Oh yeah.
why is it? I guess I'm just not personally that political that I actually, because there are some people I've run into is like, oh my God, you're so liberal. I just can't believe it. I was listening to a show the other day, you're so liberal. And I run into other people. Could you be any more conservative? My God. It's like, maybe it's not me. Maybe it's you,
Yeah, and I would say it's not just you. I think any radio show I've ever listened to, one caller will call in and do exactly what you're saying. Like, oh my gosh,
Yes.
this. And then the next person is like, well, no, you're really so this. And the person that's on air is like, well, what is it? Like, I can't be both extremes at the same time. So it's not me.
I think it's terrific, but I just wanted everybody to understand that it's to me, it's not what party you're in, what your beliefs are. It's what you are as a human being, and that's why I don't understand how you can hate somebody you don't even know. That amazes me.
I don't want to mention any one person, candidate, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But what I would say is that right now where the cleave is now. It's like it's whether or not you think that Taylor Swift is part of a conspiracy theory to degrade and destroy the morals of America.
You know what I do believe? That as soon as her album's complete, she'll be long gone. That's what I think.
I don't know. I think she just kind of likes what she does. I think, I mean, this tour of hers, what was look a year-long tour, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And I saw a number that something like so far in the tour there have been I think 4.35 million tickets sold.
Yeah.
And so what that amounts to is more than $1 billion of merchandise, tickets.
Yep.
And she's not only the most popular woman in the world. I don't think anyone comes close right now.
Probably true. Yeah.
But she's the richest. I mean, she is a billionaire.
She's
doing something right. And I don't think I just you and I might see it differently, but I don't think has any interest in stepping off the pedestal.
Well, but it's her pedestal. So if he crowds her too much, he will have to step off.
Yeah, and I think just because she's been on this ridiculous tour that seems like it's been going on forever, and she's always performing, that she'll naturally take a step back when it's done, just so she can kind of rest and recover. Yeah. But I don't think we're going to be talking about Taylor Swift, or she'll be making music and being a sensation for years to come.
One of the best. I looked through some of the. I just read from another site some of the comments being made on the UChan conspiracy theory QAnon site.
Yeah. Yep.
And there were people saying that the whole thing is she's just a fraud. And that whole relationship is just a fraud. And the only reason that she's in this relationship with Travis Kelce is that she's really wants to just suck away all his money. She's in it for the money.
In it for the money? She's a billionaire.
She's richer than he is.
A lot richer than he is.
If she stops doing everything today, if she never sells another album, never has another concert, and Travis Kelce stays as one of the best tight ends ever, he could do that for 50 years. He wouldn't have come close to having her money.
No. Exactly.
So look, probably not it.
I don't know. I've never heard her sing a whole song. She seems like she's an okay singer.
Yeah.
I don't think she's anything special. She's an attractive young woman. I guess maybe that's part of it. Mm-hmm. Hey, if they like you, they like you. There are people who didn't like the Beatles, so I don't really understand. Well, I want to give you a good example. You know who hates the Beatles? Tim Laudner.
How can anyone hate the Beatles?
I know. How can you hate the Beatles? When he goes,
especially someone that age. He grew up with the Beatles.
Exactly. You know what he does when he tells you he hates the Beatles? He goes just like this. I hate the Beatles. He tries to do the British accent.
The guy with that great Minnesota accent.
He's got the great Minnesota accent. But I just really wish that people would dial it back and calm down, stop with the hatred, and it's automatically you're my enemy because you're a different political party, or you're not a Christian, you're a Jew, or you're a Jew, not a Christian. I'm really getting tired of that.
Yeah, and Gelfand, just because of the people that were saying that that Taylor Swift is in it for the money with her relationship. Travis Kelce's net worth $40 million, which is up 10 million since October, which is right about when all of their dating really skyrocketed.
Yeah.
Just shy of his girlfriend's net worth, 1.1 billion. So he's definitely not dating, or she's not dating him for money.
Yeah. I do think that if someone signs the accord before they get married, it's going to be like 8 pages for him. Initial there, initial there, initial there, initial there. For Taylor Swift, no, you're good.
Yeah.
Do you think we'll ever get to a point, because we never have before, but maybe it's gotten so bad now, will we ever get back to judging one person for being that person, not part of another group of people? I tend to, and I don't know why I came to do this, but I just did. I tend to judge people individually. It's not like, oh, Tevin's black, so he's this, and Gelfand's a Jew, so he's this. And I just never did that. And maybe it's because of where I grew up. I don't know. But I just really wish we'd get past this entire group of people I'm condemning because they're not what I am.
Well, the one group that I find that is the most forgiving, the group that views everyone as a human being. It's the Minnesota Lutherans.
You think so?
I truly believe that they're the most accepting people.
Well, that's
Now,
good.
of course, if you get into the Missouri Synod folks, for example,
That's different. Do you know that story? Is that why you brought up Missouri Synod?
Well, there's a lot of those stories.
When I was 16 years old, I met a girl. She worked at Donaldson's garden room where I worked. That's where I met her. She's a pretty young woman, all the rest of it, and I thought that'd be cool. That's why I brought up Soda. Soderbergh's reopened for Valentine's Day. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Because they closed Soderbergh's. I went to Soderbergh's. I was 16 years old. I bought a thing of flowers because I wanted to go ask her out. So I got the flowers. I'm 16 years old. I walk up to the door, and I knock on the door, and her father answers. And he looks at the flowers and looks at me, and he goes, "I have to ask you a question." I said, "Yes, sir, what's that?" And he goes, "Is it true that you're Catholic?" And I said, "Yes, it is." And he goes, "We're Missouri Synod," and shut the door in my face.
Yeah, they're not the group I was talking about as being very accepting. No, but I certainly, as a teenager, I experienced some of the same things.
Did you really?
Oh yeah, it's like yes. I had there was some bitter conversation at times with fathers.
Oh, yes. So, and I understand exactly what you're talking about because it was a much different deal back then. I just, like I said, I really would like us, and maybe we've never done it in the history of manhood or womanhood or whatever hood you got. Can we just ever judge each person individually, not as part of a group?
Well, maybe after that one huge atomic bomb drops,
You think that'll
wipes
be
out
it?
half of humanity. Yeah, maybe then we'll just sort of like see it from a different perspective.
But that's every time you bring that up, I think of the fact that was a political statement that cost I don't know how many people their lives. You know that most people do not know this, that Japan had already surrendered,
Yes.
and then we dropped the bomb.
Yeah, just kind of like it's like, okay, you dropped the bomb. Now let's just put our signature on it.
So they dropped 2 bombs. This is after the Japanese had surrendered. The reason they dropped those bombs was as a threat to Russia to back off. That's why we did it.
Yeah.
If you ever read up on it, we did it to scare the Russians, not anybody else. How many Japanese people lost their lives? I don't know. But, they got involved in a war. How many Americans lost their lives because of the Germans, the Japanese? It's just, the whole thing is disgusting.
And the irony about that is that eventually, of course, the biggest atomic threat in the world was from the Russians, and it wasn't from their bombs either.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. So,
but they just didn't care, about how many people died from their defective electrical facilities.
So, 1 or 2,
Yeah.
So, Tevin and Andy, what do you think of this whole thing? Do you think the people will ever get to the point where they can just accept anybody face value and find out later if you don't like them? Don't judge them up front. I don't like you because of this, that, and you don't even know them. You think we'll ever get to the point where we can just accept people for who they are and what they are?
Probably not. People
Never.
No, people mostly, if they see one excerpt of something somebody said, now I don't like that person, so I'm not even going to take the opportunity to try and get to know them or see their side of things. And so I don't think that that's really going to change. People are too dug into one side versus the other at this point.
I'm with Mike where we're one war crime away from reuniting as a nation.
Well, that's a good way to put it.
Unfortunately, it's not a fun goal to pass,
No.
but it is there.
Right. The last time we were like close as coming together for a country was like 9/11.
9/11. Yeah, 9/11 really did bring the country together for a long time.
Was it about a month?
No, I mean, it was a good, probably, I don't know, 4 years.
Yeah, it was up until we got tired of that Toby Keith song or Alan Jackson, whatever.
Oh, yeah. Where were you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where were you? Yeah.
Remember that great dispute between the Dixie Chicks
Oh
Yes.
yeah, when they
Yep.
didn't like George Bush. Yeah.
and so one of the Dixie Chicks, it was probably Natalie Means. She's the lead singer, and they hadn't really been a hyper political group, but of course then they became one because they went to they said bad things about, just really mostly in passing, about George Bush the Lesser when they were in England, and then all the country singers rallied against her, and the Dixie Chicks were basically they were blacklisted just because they were as much on the right as Toby Keith was on the left. And so Natalie Main said, these guys, Toby Keith, he isn't every kind of, I mean, he's not talented. Anybody can say, I'll put a boot up your ass. And so then they asked Toby Keith, about what she said. And he said, yep, anyone could do it, but I did.
But I did.
Yeah,
Well,
that was
there you
his
go.
comeback.
Well, it's pretty good, actually. I like that comeback.
Well, it was,
That works for me.
I think it said all there is need to be said.
But maybe we should teach that in our school systems. Why don't you just lay back and observe? Don't spout off immediately because you don't know what the hell you're talking about. Observe, watch other people, see what it's all about, and maybe you could get to know people. You might even end up liking somebody just because you don't agree on certain things. I have tons of friends that I don't agree with, either politically or in a business manner or how they comport themselves, but they're still my friends because they're this intrinsic value in friendship, I guess.
The problem, though, is another problem besides the money problem is just the fact that misinformation has just swallowed information.
Yeah, it has. That's true.
And we saw this in Congress yesterday, where they were going after various sites, I guess, X and TikTok and all that stuff.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
And there were a lot of indignation, but they weren't talking about, on the other side, they were talking about all the lies and the disinformation and misinformation. And the really harmful things that were going on places, sites like QAnon, for example, Instagram, people getting their news. It's not really news, but getting their lies from these sites. So this is an assault from every direction.
It is. And to tell you the truth, that's why I've not been on social media in 12 years now. I just decided 12 years ago, I just couldn't, I didn't want anything to do with that. Everybody thinks, first of all, they're much smarter than you. Everybody thinks they're a tough guy on social media.
Oh, sure.
Everybody thinks all these wonderful, I finally got to the point, I just said, I just don't need these people in my lives. Is this how you're going to act? I don't want anything to do with it.
Yeah, well, I mean, the internet serves a great purpose because,
right.
I really appreciate it every time I make another Tinder date.
How's that going?
Well, it wasn't going that well. Like I kept setting up a Tinder date, and then like an hour later they'd cancel. But I don't blame them for that. I blame Google.
Sure. That makes total sense.
If it wasn't for Google, I think they would have gone through with the date. So now I just say, look, okay, I'm out with these sites. They're not working for me. And so now I'm just on Bumble.
What is Bumble? I don't even know what that is.
Well, that's a dating app where you post your information, meaning men do, and after that they have no say about anything, because they can't contact the person they want to date. They just have to wait and hope they are contacted by I guess it's mostly women. I don't know what they do about same-sex dating, but most of it is men posting, and then they hope that the women say, yeah, let's get together or something. So, which is really not a bad way of doing it, because most of these people, they want to hook up, right? They're not looking for long-term relationships. It's maybe not as palpably erotic, or we shouldn't say erotic. I just say, gutter as Tinder. With Tinder, it's just you contact someone, and if your loins are not touching within the next 24 hours, then you say, well, what the hell was that about?
What a waste of time.
So Bumble's a little different, but when you think about it, it's like, oh yeah, so in other words, you're just going to let the women decide whether you hook up. It's kind of the way it's always been.
Absolutely, it is. There's no question about that. From most of the people I know of a certain age, almost all of them met their spouses or girlfriends or boyfriends on the internet.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
it.
that's just how it goes now, right?
Yeah, whatever happened to just getting drunk in a bar?
What do you mean? I never did that. He lied. You know what's amazing about that?
Hmm.
Is that I only drank in bars legally for 1 year of my life.
Yeah.
'Cause yeah, I did. It's true. I started drinking when I was 11 years old,
Hmm.
and then I quit when I was 21. So when I turned 21, that
Yeah.
was the only year that basically, and I remember how many months I was into it when I just stopped drinking completely. So with me, was it not the drinking? It was the knowing that I was breaking the rules. Was that
Well, I
part of
think
it?
that's true because I started drinking at about 16. Mostly, foolishly thought
Hmm.
that would maybe help me with my depression.
Sure. Well, calm
Yeah.
you down. At least the
Well,
first one.
make you more depressed, but yeah, calm you
Yes.
down. And
Yes.
then,
Yep.
well, actually, when I turned 18, I stopped drinking.
Oh, you've never been a drinker as far as I know.
Oh no, no, because I was long gone. I mean, I did get drunk once when I was 21.
Oh,
So
you did.
that was more than 50 years ago, and I haven't been intoxicated since. But the reason that I stopped drinking was I realized that I could never be an alcoholic
And why not?
because I don't have that gene.
Well, I suppose,
You
yeah.
know,
Yeah, well, that's a good way to put it.
you can keep drinking, but the addiction part, you're either going to have or you're not.
That's a very good point because when I did start drinking again at I think I was like 31,
Hmm.
I drank for about I think I was just short of 60 years old, something like that. And when it was suggested to me that maybe I should stop drinking by this redheaded woman that I know,
Oh yeah, yeah, I've heard of her.
I just stopped. It wasn't
Mhm.
like I didn't argue with her. I didn't. It's like okay, whatever. And that's got to be. I don't know. That's got to be a physical thing because after drinking for 28 years or whatever, you just stop. Most
Yeah.
people can't do that, can they?
Well, no. Well, as I say, I mean, there are other things involved, even if you don't have the
Right.
gene. Even if you're not chemically, you can be. You know, you can be. You're never going to be chemically addicted, but you reach a certain point where you don't know how to function, which is an ironic term, without it.
Makes total sense to me. I just got an email suggested to me that because why can't people just accept people for what they are and how they are and all the rest of it? And this person pointed out to me that Tom, that'll never happen as long as money's involved. And I'd have to agree with that. Money changes everything.
Yeah.
I've had people I thought were some of my best friends steal money from me. I mean, I just can't believe they would do something like that, but it's happened to me. It's
Mhm.
probably happened to you guys too, I would imagine.
Yeah, well, the only time that someone I really loved and cherished stole from me, it didn't go on very long, was when my brother was addicted to heroin.
Right, sure.
So he might take a coin I had or something, a rare coin, and he
Hmm.
might sell it so that he could get another fix. And that just shows you though what the power of these drugs and why, how many people are we losing every year to addiction or maybe sometimes it's not even addiction, it's just taking the wrong pill. But man, those things change your character overnight. My brother was the most generous, giving person that I've ever
Hmm.
known, and the most honest too.
What drove him to it, Mike? What do you think?
Probably my mother,
Well, you've mentioned that before, yeah.
because she was a classic Munchausen's case, and so you got to go back. Really, I mean, you got to go back to that October 31st of 1930 when she came home. She was 8, and she came home from school, and her dad was dead.
Hmm.
As you know, I've told you the story because her father, being Jewish and living in the ghetto of North Minneapolis, had appendicitis, or so they think. Went to one of the only seedy clinics around where a Jew could go, and the surgeon, if that's what he was, dropped the scalpel on him, and then triggered my mother, and she became a total neurotic, and she probably had the depression gene. Of course, I'm sure she did.
Hmm. Sure.
And so she just helped her make a wreck of my brother, and he just never, he was just too kind to really come to terms with all that. He thought that if he was just nice to my mother, that he could rewrite the history, but she was still going to be the same person.
Hmm.
And, it was part, and so I don't blame her for much at all. I just say this is how it sometimes starts, but it's hopelessness. It's depression. It's hopelessness. I think those are the two big things. And of course, the third thing is it's access.
Yeah, access is a huge part of it. It kind of came up this morning a little bit. Didn't spend a lot of time on it, but I wish people would just take a few moments, maybe in the first month, and just realize we're not all the same. Your brother's a good example. You and your brother had a lot of things in common, and some things you did not have in common.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine it was not any easier for you to deal with your family problems than it was for your brother.
No.
But you handled it in a different way because you were a different person.
Yeah. I mean, I was fortunate that I was not the firstborn.
Yeah.
I had one other sibling. It was my older brother. And that saved me from a lot of stuff. Because, you're once your older sibling is being harassed and maybe abused in some ways, not just sexually abused, but there are many ways of being abused. Most of the time, what they set out to do is take it and protect their younger siblings.
Yeah, that would be good. I mean, seriously, I want to get to. I'm going to have to let the dog in. Jude, he comes and knocks on the door. I want to come in. And he will not stop knocking on the door until you let him. He wants to be part.
Yeah.
You want to be part of the family, don't you, Judy?
On the podcast, Jude.
Hey, Jude.
Remember Wally Walker's cat?
Oh, God, yes.
Legendary cat who, of course, Wally didn't help matters any by letting the cat roam around the neighborhood. But some people do and some don't.
Yeah.
So, he'd let the cat out maybe 8 o'clock at night and, maybe totally have forgotten it. But 4 a.m, the cat would start slamming his forehead against the door.
Isn't that amazing? You slam its forehead.
Yeah, that's how because the cat was knocking on the door.
Yeah, see, dogs can do it with their paws, but the cats don't have enough power in their legs to make a noise, I suppose.
Well, what cats do is mostly if they're inside and you say, well, I'm just going to close the bedroom door. They get those claws under the door and they start rocking that door. And they're not going to quit. They have an attention span of forever.
They do indeed. All right, let's talk about a little society. Anything going on? You got your basketball team that's still doing pretty well. Won again last night.
Yeah,
all the other teams suck.
They played Dallas, who had what did they have? Kevin, you might know, 2 of their starters.
Yeah, their 2 best players, Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving, did not play.
Well, there goes 80 points.
Yep.
Why do they do that, Tevin?
It's I don't know why. They say they're overworked, and so they got to rest because a lot of people want to be ready for the regular or the postseason. So you'll get a lot of people that are just general weakness or a lot of bilateral leg weakness type injury designations for
invented by who?
Joe Mauer. Yes,
you got it.
Joe Mauer.
Oh, that's right. What did he call that injury?
Bilateral leg weakness.
Oh yeah.
He did.
Oh, and I didn't see where. Is actually hitting a little ground ball up the middle of the plate, is that exhausting? And it's he just rolled another one into center field. I hope he's okay.
Mike, what kind of year are we going to have with the Twins? I don't see a whole lot of talent showing up.
I think that more things can go wrong than can go right.
Kind of seems like it.
But they're in the right division.
Yeah, true. That is true. I don't know. I'm a huge Twins fan, but they lost a lot of good people this year. And I shouldn't say lost. They gave away a lot of good people this year. Did they keep anyone, the big player that wanted to sign for some decent money?
Oh yeah, they've still got a lot of good players and then some bad ones too. I mean, Max Kepler has a deal.
I thought he was leaving.
They cannot get rid of him. Nobody wants to. They just want people to zero in on those 3 good months he had in 8 years, and that's the real Kepler. But no, and really the totals don't really say that. And what I think is really crazy is that, I know that Polanco's getting old and he's not at his peak anymore. Mm-hmm. Now they're going to have a second baseman who refuses to swing when he has 2 strikes. Literally will not swing. It's how most guys, the deal in baseball is that if you have 2 strikes, you're supposed to You're supposed to protect the plate.
Mm-hmm.
He abandons the plate.
Why?
It's a psychological thing. He cannot get the bat off his shoulder. I am pretty sure that he has taken more called strike threes certainly last year than anyone in baseball.
So my question is, why doesn't the coach go, here's a suggestion?
I assume they do, but it's a cycle. It's like having the yips. It's just like
Yeah, I guess.
like these guys I'm sure you played golf with who hit the hell out of the ball and then they get an 8-foot putt and they can't for the life of them make it. It's
That's
the
true.
yips.
Yeah, that's true. You might be talking about me personally, but other than that,
Well, it's a
don't
pretty
worry about it.
common thing.
It is a very common thing. So who did we keep on the team? I know Kepler did sign because I heard he was going to. So he did sign with the Twins.
Yeah, but I think he may have a year or two to go, but I can't remember, but they're certainly trying to trade him, but smart baseball people know that he's been a negative for almost his entire 8-year career.
He's a decent outfielder, don't you think?
He's a decent and a very safe outfielder.
Yeah,
He's not going to. They don't have to launder his uniform after the game.
He's not going to dive for any balls.
No, he lets everything bounce in front of him.
Yeah, I suppose.
But apparently the analytics suggest that he's pretty good. But if you watch him day after day, yeah, he's okay.
So who they got now? I'm trying to think of who's left and who's still around.
Well, they got the their best player. When he's healthy is Royce, of course, Royce Lewis, and so he's back, and let's hope that he can play a full season because he was dynamic.
He's a good player. I love baseball, man. Always have loved baseball. I think that had to do with North Commons and then Cleveland Field when we moved up to the different neighborhood. Mm-hmm. We always got together. The kids in the neighborhood got together and played baseball or softball. Actually, we didn't play softball. We played baseball.
Yeah.
It was always a baseball, not a softball. Softball came later.
Yeah, same here. I was playing baseball at the Jewish Community Center baseball field, which is not what you're thinking about now. It was basically like a backyard on Cretin and Jefferson, and so I was always playing with older kids. So for them, if you broke Mr. Martin's garage window, it was a ground rule double. But if you hit it onto the roof of the Jewish Community Center, it was a home run. Well, I couldn't do either, of course. And that's when I learned how to slap the ball into left field because I was a lefty. Oh. So, but I got by okay. And until the day that I was pitching and somebody hit like about a 70-mile line drive that hit my forehead. And then I said,
God.
And I'm like 7 years old and they're 10, right? So I stopped pitching after that.
No more pitch. You were pitching and got hit with a line drive?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, God, that must have hurt like mad.
Well, it was not appropriate for me to be playing hardball with those kids.
No, I understand. I got hit in the left hip once. That didn't feel good either.
Did you get the pointer?
Yes, absolutely.
We didn't know what that was, but...
No, I was pitching that day. I decided I didn't decide. They decided I should be the pitcher. So I'm pitching. About the third guy up hits a line shot, hits me right in the left hip bone. Holy God, did that hurt?
Well, Kevin, was your shoulder injury? Was that from baseball or was it from basketball?
I don't think I ever hurt my shoulder, but most of my injuries were from football.
So knees?
Yep, knees, a hip flexor, tear. Yeah, a lot of fun stuff.
Yeah.
What'd you play? NDSU?
Yeah, it was NDSU. Yep.
Well, he was probably one of the 5 best players in Osceola.
Yeah, I'll take that.
There were 4 others. I didn't even know that.
There's nobody here to dispute that, so I'll take my spot.
Well, we don't hear about a lot of Hall of Famers from Osceola.
No, there was a couple. I think there was a kid, Lincoln Howard, that he played college football. It's Division I. They just won a national championship, a state championship in football 2 years ago. So yeah, they've got some good athletes that have come through there. Powerhouse, Osceola, Wisconsin.
NDSU is that Division II?
Nope, that's Division I AA.
1AA, there you go. Okay,
yep.
I forgot. They changed that whole deal.
Some years they're really pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, at one point I think they won. It was like they 8 of 9 championships or something like that, back to back to back to back to back. So,
and there's a few of those guys in professional football too.
Carson Wentz was number 2 overall pick. Trey Lance is in the league. But yeah, they've got Billy Turner was a starter for the Packers for years as a lineman. So yeah, there's NDSU all over the NFL.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool when you think of it that way.
It's
1AA.
It's weird seeing like your friends playing professional sports, and you're like, oh yeah, like I know that guy. I used to go party in the dorms with that guy, and so it's nice to see that. But it's not always fun when they don't do well. Like Carson Wentz, I remember thinking he was going to be great, and then he's not. Hasn't really panned out for him in the league, so that's a tough one to swallow.
Yeah.
No, I understand that. No question about it. All right, anything big in the news we should be covering? I haven't even opened my computer to look at the news since this morning. So any big news we should know about?
Big news. The only big thing was in Robbinsdale, the teachers are walked out, and so there's some sort of strike going on there. But I think other than that, it's been a pretty quiet news cycle here in Minnesota.
And the only thing that was unusual about them is they had a formal strike because teachers are walking out of every school around here.
Yeah.
And they ain't coming back either.
What is that all about?
It's about the fact that they wanted to be a teacher and they can't teach.
So why can't they teach?
Because the students can't learn.
Because they don't know how to read?
Well, a lot of it is that. It's just kids who grow up in families without a parent who's at home. That's a really tough break because you don't got people reading. I said ironically, but you don't have people reading to you when you're 4 years old. I mean, I'm sure you read to your kids when they were 1 year old, right?
Oh yeah, yep.
And but they don't have that thing going, and it's whenever you've got kids who come home and there's no parent around the neighborhood and the kids are raising the kids, it's a real problem.
Well, that's how it was in my family. It really didn't turn out to be much of a problem, other than me, of course.
But you,
the
of course,
miscreant.
You did have. I think you had older siblings who, at least looked after you a little bit.
My older sister Vicky, she's 2 years older than me.
Yeah.
She looked after me to the point she's 5 feet tall, and if anybody on the playground got mouthy with me, she would go over and just kick the piss out of them. It was phenomenal. It was great to watch.
But she's a Bernard.
Vicky kept very, very close watch on me. She was, having her in my, and I should say my brother-in-law, Pat O'Brien, too. He was married to my sister, Bobby. He's no longer with us, unfortunately. Died young, but he was very, very helpful. And Tom, you should read this. You should watch this. You should look. He was a very, very smart guy, and he was great to have around. No question.
And I think one of the things that would help this problem that they have in schools now, in many schools.
I turned my ringer off and it still won't stop ringing. I don't get it.
That's how much in demand you are. It just goes right through the barrier.
Yeah.
I just got a call from Switzerland.
Well, that must be very important.
If it's from Switzerland, maybe they want to offer you some money. Hey, I know Jewish art. Stolen Jewish art.
Stolen Jewish art in Switzerland. Could be that.
Yeah, maybe they're going to give it back to the Jews and use you as a conduit.
Who the hell is calling me from Switzerland?
Maybe the bank.
There's, let's see, 3, 6, there's 10 digits to it.
Mm-hmm.
So, isn't that, well, that's when you got 10 digits.
I don't know.
It starts 4163.
And it's probably one of those hey, you have a great uncle that you never knew about that left you billions of dollars.
Oh, sounds good to me.
Your social security number and address before we can claim it.
And me, if I get a text message from Switzerland, I get excited, and then I find out they're willing to pay me 40% of what my house worth if I want to just sell it to them right away.
Yeah, right away. By the way, they just left a message, actually.
Oh, yeah.
So I'll have to check it after the show, see what message I got from
You're
Switzerland.
Not going to share it with us?
Come could.
On. You've taken us this far.
How about if I hit the audio and it goes, Tom, you prick? What do you think?
It could happen. That would be good, though, to know that we're alienating people all the way.
Oh, you know what, though? The great thing about that is they probably left a text message, don't you think?
Yeah, that's what usually happens.
Okay, talk amongst yourself and I'll see.
Yeah, or what was it? Was Shelby? He was in like England or something, and somebody came up to him and was like, "Oh, do you know so and so that's on the Tom Bernard show? Or you know Tom Bernard when he was on vacation?"
Really?
Wasn't that Shelby that he said he was overseas and somebody came up to him and
Oh yeah, on a plane or something,
show?
right?
Yeah. He thought they were like, "Oh, you watched the news and you know me, I'm Don Shelby," and it was, "Oh, you're Tom's friend."
That's not necessarily a great experience, I would imagine.
You can go either way, let's face it.
Okay, talk amongst yourself, and I'll listen to the message and see if it's important. Okay.
Should probably turn our mics off while you do it. I'm
Okay,
guessing.
you guys talk. You two in Studio A talk.
Yeah.
Gelfand, what do you want to talk about while we switch everything over?
I don't know. I think maybe my athletic prowess.
Yeah. So the baseball experience. Did you ever hit a home run? Did you get to,
No.
or are you just stuck to the?
No, I just slapped the ball into left field and ran like crazy.
Yeah, I don't know what sport I would have pictured you playing as a child, but I guess baseball fits. What were you at? Are there any other sports?
Well, the thing is, when I was 5 years old, 6 years old, we played t-ball.
Mm-hmm.
But baseball is not. I mean, the popularity as a participant it's nothing. It's just a fraction of what it was when I was a kid. They're all playing soccer now.
Oh yeah, well, because even when I was a kid, like there was a lot of people that played baseball, but soccer was that everybody was in the Saturday morning.
Oh yeah,
league.
you got like 8 games going on at the local park.
Yep, it's really just a bunch of kids chasing the ball, here to eat Rice Krispies and Capri Suns afterwards.
Yep.
But it's technically we were up playing soccer.
We lived the kids I coached in t-ball, for the most part, they were mostly from the poor side of town.
Mm-hmm.
So we had the ices that the people would get if it was their turn.
Yep.
They'd get the ices at Costco, and I think they were like a penny an icy.
Yeah,
I don't know. It was like they just turned on a faucet and put some powder in there, and it was an icy. But at least everyone got ices.
right.
Might have been a misdial.
Uh-oh.
Because they're speaking Swiss, and I don't speak Swiss,
You
so I
don't.
have no idea what the hell they were saying.
Well, there's an app for that.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yes, there is.
I could
Just put it into Google Translate. It'll translate for you.
Google Translate. I think I'll do that at a later date.
Yeah, maybe you don't want that. Eh?
Maybe I don't want to find out what they're talking to me about.
You may
I've
have
never
just
gotten a call from
agreed to
Switzerland.
join some sort of ring.
You guys ever been in Switzerland?
I have
No.
not.
Gorgeous, absolutely. Lake Luzerne is amazing, and I don't know if they're still this way, but basically, if you want to show up and make a decent living and live a good life, that's great. You start chirping too much, you're gone. You're out.
Is it Switzerland where it's almost impossible if you're not from there to then gain citizenship there?
Yeah.
Yes,
That's definitely one of those places.
Yep.
very,
Malta's
very
pretty
difficult.
tough too.
Where is
Malta.
Malta?
Yeah, that's where now that's the trend there, because you can get a passport from there, and then that means you're a citizen. You also get a driver's license, even though there are no roads. That's
Well,
true. Yeah,
that's wonderful.
and so now you got people like Elon Musk and others, the people who have all the money. They're all into being citizens of Malta, and that's basically
Yeah.
probably Malta's number one product is
Just to be a
passport.
citizen.
Yeah, because then you don't have to pay your income taxes anymore.
Well, do they anyway?
Well, what they do is in there the money is free though. I mean, eventually people who don't pay any income tax they're still worth a lot of money, and so then they still have to worry about being taxed when they die. I personally don't worry about being taxed when I die.
No, I could understand why you kind of, it's full acceptance.
Yeah, but then again, of course, I wouldn't be that much money anyway, but still. So yeah, guys like Elon Musk are all lining up and spending millions and millions of dollars to become citizens of Malta because it's worth it.
I guess it is. Now, I got to ask you guys, this would be good. We got about, 8-10 minutes left on the show here. Did you watch any of the Any of the social media giants appearing before Congress? Did you watch any of it?
I did not. No.
No, Mike.
I saw clips of it. Yeah.
Andy, did you watch it?
I have not. I'm aware of it though.
I mean, it's pretty interesting in that Mark Zuckerberg was the guy they roasted the most, and he actually was asked to stand up and turn around and apologize to all these different people, and he actually did it in a very insincere manner. What do you think about that?
Those were real tears?
Well, Zuckerberg's an android. He can't feel emotions.
I agree with you. I do agree. He's not an emotional guy at all.
No, he's the exact kind of weirdo to make $1 billion website.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, I don't go on social media, so I don't know. Apparently, the issue now is the pornography that's automatically just sent to everybody. I mean, is that
violence?
That a huge problem? Violence, a lot of violence too.
A lot of violence, a lot of inspiring kids to kill themselves. And
Why would you want a kid to kill themselves? Does it make you feel powerful?
Powerful.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh,
and it's just basic hatred too.
Mm-hmm.
A hatred of humanity.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and even some of the stuff you'll see get censored or taken down. Like I saw there was a podcast that posted something where they said something that's just like mean about somebody in sports. And it got censored because of one of the words they used. But then you scroll a little bit further and it's, somebody trying to sell, sex on the internet. And it's like, so we're going to censor.
Where's this?
Sex on the internet. Whoever heard of it?
I had no idea what was going on.
So even the stuff that they're trying to, say, oh, we got all this stuff in place to get censored and taken down, like it's not effective.
No.
And they just go, well, we just made the website. We don't control what people do. And like, you have to take some accountability for.
I would think so. Yeah.
But Andy makes a good point, but because it's the richest people who have the fewest emotions. I mean, Elon Musk is a great example. Zuckerberg's a great example.
Yeah. Yep.
And these guys weren't born necessarily to the manor, but they were born to the valley.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people go wrong there. And of course, Musk was born in really one of I'd say the worst, goes maybe among the 10% worst countries in the world.
What do you mean?
Just saying, it's not the friendliest place.
Where is it again? Where is he from?
South Africa.
Oh, that's right. He's from South Africa.
But really, the only people they really hate there are white people and black people. And I'm sorry, Aborigines.
Aborigines. Why are they so hateful? Wasn't that supposed to be a great farming community at one time?
Well, that was one of the things that turned into a very hateful experience.
It did, apparently.
In your farms, basically, they just would take the farms away. Whoever was in power.
Right.
They'd take the farms away from the people who weren't in power. And that tended to be a racial thing. So
I have a question for you because, like I said, I didn't watch any of it yesterday. I saw the highlights on the national news. So kids sit down and because again, I don't go, the last time I was on social media was 12 years ago. So I don't know anything about that. But all these things what do they just pop up on your screen? Is that, how does this happen? Where these kids can see all this pornography. It just doesn't all of a sudden pop up on your screen, does it?
Yeah, it'll be, or if
really?
DMs or something like that, usually, or a group you're in.
And if you go to, so like, for example, I follow Sports Center, and so they'll post a picture, hey, the, Vikings lost again today. And then
why'd you have to say that now?
No, because I was going to say they won, but then I was like, let's make this a realistic bet. And then you scroll through the comments and you'll see, real people being like, I can't believe it, whatever. And then you'll see fake accounts where it'll be some girl whose picture was probably stolen wearing a bikini. And it'll be like, comment if you want, sexy fun time tonight. And there will be just hundreds of these bots and comments on there.
Really?
Yeah, and then that probably triggers something in the algorithm where, you want to see other things where people are also promoting, sexy whatever fun times.
Yep.
And then you get, now everything is just flooded with just garbage all over the place.
So you really can't avoid it. It pops up no matter what you do. It's going to pop up on your screen.
Yeah. And I even went through and reported hey, I'm not interested in these types of pages because I was like, it's just too much. and it'll decrease the amount somewhat, but it still will every, fifth post you scroll through will be, oh, here, check this girl out in a bikini, check whatever else out.
You
Every day.
always get these Facebook requests too, right?
Yep.
Oh yeah. Yeah, every day I go on our chat room and every day there's a spam link on there to some insidious bit.ly link that probably brings you to a virus that, it's like a bot that says, "Hey, check out my topless photos." And every day I go in there and I have to delete one.
So if you go into it, though, it's going to get into your business.
I wouldn't click that on anyone's machine.
I wouldn't click that on Gelfand's computer.
Yeah, exactly.
I tell you, it's just a garbage can. And the thing that bothers me is, I get all this stuff in the spam folder, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like it's 90% of it, I would say, is either a penis extension or it's erectile dysfunction. And I don't mind getting all these spam things, but I hate the fact that they know me so well.
Yeah, they get you just pegged.
Jeez, how do they do that?
Sometimes it really works, and sometimes it doesn't work at all.
I don't. What is that?
I mean, how the hell do you even get control of that type of thing? Yeah, that. And again, the reason that I left social media all those years ago is I get sick of telling people, I'll be out front at 2001 Southeast Elm Street in 10 minutes. You want to be a tough guy? Come on by. And I finally just got sick of doing that. And I went, I can't be on this anymore. Everybody on there's a tough guy. I hate that so much. I can't even do. Is it still like that? Everybody's a tough guy on there?
Yeah. Everybody's a tough guy. Everybody's an expert. That about sums it up.
Yeah, it's a good idea not to read the comment section.
I would imagine
anything that obscurely links you to any of that stuff, or me. I mean, I've read some of those comments, like when they'll do a story, when they would do a story about the other morning show, which is now, I guess it's still around, but I haven't heard it in so long.
I mean, the old one.
Yeah,
13th place, Mike.
Is there any way to go down after that?
Nope.
Well, there's only 12 radio stations in the market,
but still, when you used to dominate the market, and now like the religious station has 12 times more listeners.
Yes.
That's humiliating. Yep. To me, that is, because I don't think of radio as being a hot, just a total, just hottest thing in the world.
Not
radio
anymore.
Was never a religious station. Nothing wrong with religious stations, but every now and then I'll flip around the dial, the preset, and somehow I'll come across like a religious station that plays full rock music.
Really?
Oh yeah, and it can fool you, because you're thinking, oh, this is rock music, but then best way it's different is no one's saying cocaine anymore. They're saying Jesus instead. So they're just substituting the words. Really all they're doing.
I got to be honest with you. The only religious programming I pay attention to is the Righteous Gemstones.
Oh, great
God,
show.
I love that show. That show is very fun. You guys watch it?
I see it from time to time, yeah.
God, that
I do think
funny.
you probably disagree, but I think a little of it goes a long ways because it's really the same joke over and over.
That's true. It is pretty much, but I like they put good people on it.
Oh yeah, the cast is great.
The cast is amazing, but I mean the religious people tend to get a little bit over the top, so that's one thing I like about it a lot. It's just way out there. All right, another fantastic show, I thought. You know what I mean?
Oh, the critics are weighing in now.
They are. There's no question.
That kind of thing.
Andy, the show's really doing well, isn't it?
Yeah, I think people like the new format.
I love it. There's no question. So we got to keep bringing you two Hunyucks back, whether I want to or not. You got to keep coming back.
I know the feeling.
We'll talk to you tomorrow. Thanks a lot.